understanding the lies, the traumas that have kept us in our trials. I think those are massive hindrances. You know,
Yeah.
as women, we also face the fact that we're a woman. I was getting out of the car at this conference that I was going to speak at, and I was with this man who was about 60-ish years old, amazing mentor. And he's like, "Hey, Tamara, before you get out, I want to tell you something." And I'm like, "Okay." I mean, we've just been driving together for 45 minutes. Like, why didn't you tell me then? He's
Yeah.
like, "Before you go in here, I just want to tell you a couple of things." And I said, "Okay." And he's like, "You're beautiful." He wasn't coming on to me, don't worry. And I was like, "Thank you." And he's like, "You're a woman." I'm like, "Yes."
Yeah.
"You're perceptive." Okay. And he said, "And you're so kind." And I said, "Thank you." And he said, "When you go in here, just remember who you are. And you're not going to look like everyone else. And
Hmm.
that's okay. You are positioned to be here." And
Hmm.
so I walk in, not really knowing what he was talking about. And I was just kind of like, okay. And
Yeah.
I was in a room with about 70 men, maybe 3 women.
Wow.
And Natalie, I think there was one person that was not white in the room. Okay. And I
Wow.
am not used to that.
Yeah.
I love vibrancy. I love color. I want to be in a place that looks like heaven in my
Mm.
life on a
Diverse.
daily
Yeah.
basis. Yeah, like
Yeah. Yeah.
bring in everyone. And so I'm like sitting there and I'm looking around, and of course I'm introducing myself and I'm smiling, and I am also about 30 years younger than this
Wow.
population. And I just had no context to what I was walking into. I
Mm.
get up and share a little bit later, and everyone's nodding their head and applauding and coming up to me afterwards. And they're like, "That was amazing. I can't wait to hear what you're going to do. Let me know what you need." And it was really a positive environment, except for the fact that they weren't able to grasp hold of what I was even talking about, because all they saw was, she's a young female. She looks
Pretty.
different than all of us. And she's just talking really candidly. And nothing came of that event besides that
Mm.
relationship with the one person who has 3 daughters, and was like, "I see you. I support you. We're going to get you in the right rooms." That room might not have been the right room for you. And
Yeah.
you don't know what you don't know. But I want the women who are here to know I am not like a women empowerment person or a women's rights. I believe we are equally as valuable as men. Both needed to be at the table. But the thing you said earlier, Natalie, you said when you go through something like a catastrophic event or a time of having no volume, you learn compassion, and
Yes.
you learn perspective in a way that you just literally could never read about. You could read all day long. It's not going to impact you until you've walked through the fire. So
Yep.
when I go into those rooms, what I see isn't a strong, rich white man. I see broken boys. I see
Mm.
boys who are operating out of the same trauma cycle of success, greed,
Yeah.
overdrive, all of these things. And I think, man, you missed it, or you're gonna
Yeah.
miss it. And
And,
we
and,
all
and
have
you're
an opportunity to
unaware.
slow, no idea. They're completely oblivious. And so in the same context with a similar group of men, a couple months later, totally different environment. Again, I had no idea I was walking into this thing. I'm like, "Lord, why do you keep putting me in a room with all these old guys, old white guys?" And I had them, by the time I was finished talking, all of them on their actual knees with their hands wide open, some of them weeping, because
Praying?
not praying, they were hands wide open in a state and posture of surrender,
Mm.
understanding they weren't capable of continuing in the way in which they were. I called out sexual, sin. I called out that striving sin. I called out a lot of things. And at the end, there was a man that comes up to me, and he was like, "These men have never been asked to be postured in that place.
Wow.
And for you as a young woman to go do it, job well done." And I was just like, "Not me. Like, I have no, significance in this space at all, other than doing what I'm called to do." And I say that thing because I feel as women, we bring that compassion, we bring that perspective and empathetic
Absolutely.
lens that they need. And
I just
so
talked
bring
about
that.
that. So I just have to say, because here's
Yes.
what you is what you're saying, that I agree. men and women come together is the absolute best scenario. But right now, because women are so below, not in the roles, or don't have the access, we have to empower more women to even get there to a space where we can get to equality of, let's meet at the table and talk, as because we as women, we bring strengths like the empathy, like intuition, like creativity, that are much more accessible to us. Yes, I was just sharing this in a talk I just recorded. Yes, I as a woman, I have very strategic, rational, I'm one of those
Yes.
very logical people. But what I was sharing, and this is true, is that finding that balance within myself to not lean on the masculine things that we all have gotten so used to thinking that those are the ways to get things done and achieve. Yes, my strategic, logical, rational brain has served me very well. But if I only relied on that, Tamara, I'd be missing out on so much. My intuitive nudges, Holy Spirit downloads, or whatever you want to call it,
Yep.
my empathy, like my humility, like my our flexibility and resilience
Yeah.
as women is everything. And so yes, like, so men, I think the issue with men right now is men are just so used to having their masculine traits dominate everything. There are men with feminine traits like intuition, empathy, but they
Yes.
haven't learned that those are
Right.
actually strengths and
Right.
skills.
Been
Yes,
suppressed because it's
yes,
not celebrated, right? And
yes,
we've been suppressed because emotions are not celebrated, right?
yes,
So volume down, ladies, volume down. Don't cry. You're fine. I don't want
yes.
to hear it. Stop nagging. Stop complaining. Now, we're not meant to be naggers or complainers or gossipers, but at the same time, like, we're raising our volume over something that matters, and it's meant for it to be heard when it's decided and shared in an eloquent way. Not pointing fingers, like I said,
Right.
ownership. Like, I think we're braver than most men are
Absolutely.
because we're willing to say, this is what I see, this is what I'm feeling, this is what has gone wrong in the past, and what we want for our daughters moving forward.
Yeah.
So I am all for even just the concept of this summit and what your intention is to support. And I hope that as people are listening to all of these, that they write their identity in the knowledge that, like, being a woman is something to celebrate in this hour, and we get to do it with such a fluidity and flow and beauty.
Yes.
And when we do it from a place of rest, that's when we're noticed, not when we do it from a place of strive or that sense of masculinity or drive. They're like, whoa, what are they doing differently? Why is there a
Yes.
peace about them that transcends understanding? Why is there a calm? Why do they have a collectiveness that I really need?
So
That's
that's
what we're honing into here.
so that collectiveness in terms of women are more inclined to be collaborative, whereas men are more inclined to be more independent. So yes, I think even like something like this summit where how many men do you see doing summits where I don't even know of any of them, right?
No,
But
no.
here we are, women come together doing these summits, sharing their thought leadership and just collaborating. We do this when we are not competing, comparing. We do this naturally, it just flows. This is an amazing experience. And yes, all the women listening, it's called Limitless Leaders Summit for a reason, because when we tap into our true power, our true presence, our true potential, and let our brilliance radiate, there's so much that is possible, that until we get into that posture, we don't even understand it's possible.
True. It's so
Oh my
true. And
gosh.
the brilliance that you're talking about, when you understand who you are, competition fades, right? And that's the limitlessness, is because we're together shining, we're together linking arms and walking into the next space together. That's unstoppable. That's an
I
unstoppable
love, I
force.
wish there was like a, I don't know, we could tip, I don't know, some vision where we could all look at it like women, like I said, hands wrapped around each other
Yes.
and stepping into whatever,
Yes.
like an army, but not an army, right? But like just like in
Right.
shining like, uniquely as we are.
Totally.
Oh, that's I always say like a star, like stars are all unique in their own way, but they all have their own brilliance. I said, what's that's how we are.
It's true.
No star, a star doesn't have to compete with the other star. It's its own magnificent thing, creation.
Yes.
Anyway,
Yes.
yeah, oh
It's
my God.
I'm on it. I'm with you. And then to add sound, right? So when we add our sound connected to that, that's why I love microphones. That's why I love video. That's why I love stages. That's why I love music, and anything that's literally makes a sound. It has to come from the inside. I like I talk differently than I did a decade ago. I'm
Mm,
not the same person. Your sound will change as you're willing to stay in that posture of surrender rather than trying to strive. And people will take note. People will take note. And your influence that you alluded to before, now you become a magnet versus trying to go out to capture. Like, that's not our role. We become that brilliance. We become that magnetic. They're like, whoa, what? Who just walked into the room? And there's no competition in that because you are literally showing off the brilliance that's created for you uniquely. And I can stand right next to Natalie and she's going to shine just as bright. People are like, look at
absolutely.
those two together. And you're like, that's what we want
That's what we want.
in friendship, right? I think as women, it's hard to even make friends as we get older because there's lack of authenticity, because there's a spirit of
Yeah.
competition. But when we have conversations like this helps people like break down the silos and actually come into a place of safety. And that's what needs to be created, more safety for us as females to celebrate one another.
God, and that's what you're just saying right now. Like it's literally, I feel like a theme is going to be the theme of 2025. I don't know. Like I actually was thinking about putting a post, but I don't have the words yet. But like psychological safety in our bodies,
Ooh,
psychological safety in our environments, in our communities, so that because there's so many crazy things going on right now, so many curveball things going on right now. I think a lot of people, especially women, and I would say even more women of color, are feeling very trepidatious, very, like we don't know what's coming. And I think that cultivating safety, I literally, you just said the word, like literally, that is going to be a priority for all of us to navigate what's going to be coming down these next few years. That's my
yeah,
opinion.
I
But
love
I
that.
really see that because, and you saying that word, it just really, and also the other one I'd say safety and then trust.
Mhm.
Trust, no, for me, as you and I, as women of faith, trusting in God to give me the discernment, trusting in God to give me the tools, the strength, the power, the wisdom, the resilience, all the things that on my own, I know because he showed me this already. I can't do it on my
Nope.
own, right? So strengthening my communication with him and my bond with him to know that my trust is solid, that is going to be so crucial because when that trust is like irrefutable, solid as a rock, that's when no matter what happens, we're stable.
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
my God, our faith, the people listening who have different faiths, but our faith is foundational to stability in our lives, especially in tumultuous, crazy, curveballing times like we're
Yes.
in with weather things and political things and all the things. There's
So
just
true.
so many things that are making us like, like
Yeah.
not grounded.
So true.
So and
So
I just feel like it's more to come. Like, this
yeah.
is January.
Oh yeah. So true. You're right on par. And I really I love the safety and the trust met together. And as leaders, that's a non-negotiable, right? It's really a non-negotiable. Now, how often do we sit in conversations or trainings that they say, "Let me teach you how to cultivate trust. Let me teach you how to cultivate a safe culture." No,
Yeah,
they're not talking about that. And that's because, specifically, if it's a man driven experience, they're not even thinking about
thinking
that.
of those things.